So here you are in early June, finding yourself planning your very first Halloween Horror Nights trip for this year's event. However, you're wondering to yourself exactly when is it the best time to visit the event? Well, in today's video, we're going to be breaking all of that down for you guys coming up next. What's up everyone, and welcome to the channel that takes you through the fog with our very first episode to a brand new series that we'd like to call Beginners of HHN.
In this series, we'll be breaking down all of our top tips and tricks for planning your first trip to Halloween Horror Nights. Just like the title states, in this video, we'll be covering exactly the best times to visit Halloween Horror Nights.
This is one of the many frequently asked questions that we receive in regards to planning a trip. However though, the answer is not so straightforward as it typically depends on a couple of variables.
That's right, and that's why we have this video broken down into two halves and then multiple sections within those halves to simplify the answer for you. The first half of the video will cover the differences between the times of the month to visit between September and October. So we'll cover things like opening weekend, late October, etc. And then the second half of the video will break down the specific days of the week and the best day to attend throughout the week.
Now, starting off with the first half of today's video, we're going to be diving into section 1, which is focused primarily on the opening weekend to Halloween Horror Nights. Now, opening weekend to Halloween Horror Nights is something truly magical. You have tons of fans that absolutely enjoy the event, just like ourselves, that are going to be attending to see the very first scares that Halloween Horror Nights puts on. However, though, with that being said, it is one of the busier weekends that you can find throughout the event.
Yes, and it is also the first weekend of the event running. So they still haven't worked out all their kinks. There's gonna be some things that, the ops team and the scare actors are still working on for that first weekend.
Yeah, and this is where the side of caution comes in when you're planning a trip. If you're really trying to stay away from the crowds, we don't really recommend the opening weekend being your first experience. However, if you're really trying to go all out and saying, hey, I really want to experience like Halloween Horror Nights and some of its prime, like mopeds and stuff, the opening weekend is something truly special to be there for.
The next section that we have moving through the calendar is going to be early to mid-September. Now, this is typically when the crowds are the lowest, so if that is really important to you, this is a good time to go. However, also keep in mind that the scare actors and the team have still not fully worked out all of the kinks yet, and this is also going to be when it is the hottest at the event.
Now, headed into our third section on this half, we're going to be discussing one of our personal favorite times of the year, and that is the late September to early October time frame. Now, this time period is our favorite for the fact that we're finally kind of getting into October. The weather is slightly changing, not too much, and basically this is the time of the year where the event is basically like fluid all the way through, and the scare actors and the ops team kind of have it figured out.
Yes, and this is also when the crowds are going to be the lowest for it being October and this period of time. The further you get into October, the more the crowds are going to get heavier. So this is a great period of time to visit because, you get October 1st, you get like kind of that like reinvigoration of Halloween, and you get the Halloween spirit and everything, but it's not quite so busy yet.
Yeah, and one thing to say too is like, the world isn't really caught up to Halloween like we are, where we're, year-round Halloween basically. But once it's October officially, and like late September and then right into October, everybody's really celebrating Halloween. We got Halloween music playing on the radio. The stores are filled with Halloween merch. So this is finally that time where you can kind of soak it all in and be like, finally, here we are, middle of Horror Nights, and everything is rocking and rolling. Moving on to the fourth section we have, this is probably gonna be the danger zone when it comes to planning your trip to Horror Nights when it's talked about crowds, and that is the mid to late October time period. Now, of course, this is one of the cooler time periods. Obviously, we're very close to Halloween at this point. The weather's kind of cooperating a little bit, but the crowds are at their most peaked when it's coming to this time. Also, ticket prices as well as the add-ons are more increased because Universal and Horror Nights are expecting higher crowds. So it is a little more costly compared to when you go earlier in the year. So just keep that in mind when booking it. It is a fun time to go, but it's more crowded and a little more expensive when planning that trip.
And our last section of this half is going to be closing weekend. Now, this includes Halloween. So of course, this is a really fun time to go to the event because it's Halloween. That's what we're all here for. But again, it's going to be really, really busy.
Yeah, usually that last weekend is extremely busy, but as Stephanie has said before, it is Halloween. Like, if you're gonna do anything for Halloween, Halloween Horror Nights is the way to go. Now, one thing that's interesting that we do need to bring up is Halloween is on a Tuesday, and so far we really, at the moment of making this video, we haven't really gotten much official updates from Horror Nights when it comes to the event, and it seems like that Monday for October 30th doesn't seem like it's an event night. So like that Tuesday is just kind of randomly on its own for Halloween night, which could potentially mean it might be a little bit slower in crowds compared to what it usually is when it's like over the weekend.
Yes, and in previous years, Halloween typically wasn't very busy because people are trick-or-treating and having Halloween parties, but we have seen in the last 5 years or so, it's been very busy for Halloween.
So there you guys have it. That is the first half of the section to this video when it comes to talking about the best times to visit. And we related this based on the calendar and the time of year. So like you got early September, mid-September, late September, and the same with October. But now as we travel into the second half of this video, we're gonna be focusing on directly the days. So that's regards of Wednesday through Sunday, and which days are gonna be busier in crowds and which one will be less busier.
So in this half, we are going to be breaking the week down into 3 different sections based on traditional crowd levels. So these sections are going to be Sunday and Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday.
Diving into that first section we have, which is Wednesday and Sunday of the event week. Now, when it comes to these days, these are traditionally the lowest in crowd levels. Yeah, just like Stephanie's saying, lowest. And the reason being is because in the past few years, we noticed that every single day of the event, it's been pretty busy. Now, however, these are traditionally the lowest in crowd levels. So if you're planning on what day specifically is the lowest in crowds, what would you say, Steph? Wednesday and Sunday, right?
Yeah, probably Wednesday is going to be the lowest. If they ever put a random Monday or Tuesday, that is also going to be the lowest in crowds. But like Brian said, in the past few years, every night is busy.
Now the second section that we have for the week in time is gonna be Thursday. The reason why we have Thursday as its own lonely section is because it's kind of a hit or miss weekday, and that being sometimes it's slow, kind of like a Wednesday, but it also could be very busy like you see traditionally on a Friday or a Saturday. There really isn't much to say about Thursdays. They're a nice sweet spot to have, of course, when you go to the event, but just know it's either gonna be a slow day and you might get lucky, or it's traditionally gonna be kind of a busier day.
And finally, our last section of the days of the week are the 2 that we haven't talked about yet, which are Friday and Saturday. And like Brian said previously, these are typically the busier nights of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it's your weekend night. Friday, Saturday, that's usually where you see most of the crowds. And typically speaking, for a traditional like family vacation, people are at the parks during Friday and Saturdays, and especially with your locals included in that, those are the times when they're off of work, they got the weekend off, and more than likely you're gonna see them attend the event because obviously the event runs really late into the night. So when they get off of work at Friday, they're like, well, we might as well go to Horror Nights, do that. I know we've done that a couple of times ourselves because then we don't have to worry about waking up so early in Saturday. So if you're looking at going, for some reason, the busiest days, you can quite expect it to be on Friday and Saturday of the week.
Also, a quick pro tip for everybody out there planning their HHN visits. We do recommend planning more than one night for this event. Now, we will be talking about this more in detail in videos coming up down the road.
All of the information in today's video that we provided to you guys comes from our personal experience from attending the event year after year. However, everything is subject to change, as it always does, so make sure you guys use this video kind of like a guideline because nothing is quite set in stone.
If you guys enjoyed today's video and you would like to see more of this series, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and also be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when we post more episodes leading up to this year's HHN.
Also, let us know in the comments down below if this is your very first time planning a trip to this year's Halloween Horror Nights. And for those of you who have already been to Horror Nights, when is your favorite time of the event to visit? Now, with all of that being said, that is going to be it for us in today's video and the first episode that we have to our Beginners of HHN series. Until that next video, we can't wait to see you guys there. And like always, we'll catch you guys in the fog. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.